Well, hi, folks. I'm Chris Dorr. I'm the director here for the North Carolina Firearms Coalition. And in this short video, I'm going to talk about the two candidates who are running to be your next state senator right there in Senate District 1. First of all, I'm going to talk about the Democrat challenger in this race, Susan Harman-Scott. I'm going to break down where she's at on all things related to the Second Amendment. And then we're going to jump over and talk about Bobby Hanig. He is the Republican incumbent who is running for re-election here. I just put an I so you guys remember he's the incumbent here. We're going to break down where he's at on the Second Amendment and some of the votes that he's cast as a state senator. So there's a lot on the line in these elections. I don't think I need to convince anybody of that anymore. So if you're pro-gun, pro-Second Amendment, pro-family, pro-life, pro-America, you're going to want to watch this video and hopefully share it with your friends afterwards. With that, let's get into talking about Susan Harman-Scott first and foremost here. You can tell in life a lot about a person by who their friends are, right? That's certainly the case with politicians and the organizations that are funding their campaigns and endorsing their campaigns. So first, right out of the gate, I'm going to jump right to the bottom of this list. Susan Harman-Scott is endorsed by Michael Bloomberg. Bloomberg, folks, is the godfather of gun control in America. He is financing the gun control movement, both at the federal and state levels. Certainly the case. They want to flip this Senate district right here over to Democrat or gun control support. And that's why he's getting behind Susan Harman-Scott. That must mean something about the policies that Susan Harman-Scott wants to pass. So let's jump into those right now. First of all, I'm going to give her a big old red X for the Bloomberg endorsement. She supports universal gun registration. It's another X right there. Universal gun registration gives government the ability to track, trace, and register gun owners like they're some kind of sex offender. The bill that she wants to pass does not apply to criminals. The fact is, criminals don't stand in line and register their guns or their knives. So you have to ask yourself, why does she want to pass it then? Well, the answer is very simple. Turn on your television and you'll find Joe Biden shouting, ban them, ban assault weapons. Or you'll find Kamala Harris talking about mandatory gun buybacks. Folks, both of those are gun confiscation. That's their agenda, not ours. Gun confiscation is what the radical left and some of these people are openly promoting now. They can't confiscate firearms, though, unless they know who owns what firearms. That's what universal gun registration is all about. That's what Susan Harman-Scott wants to pass right here for the people of Senate District 1. She also supports red flag gun confiscation. There's another red X. Red flag laws are the destruction of due process rights for gun owners. It allows somebody to petition a judge to have your firearms taken away from you without you ever being charged, tried, or convicted of a crime. And people who are getting red flagged are really getting victimized. And the states have already passed this in child custody court and in divorce court. Very bad stuff. She also supports mandatory gun lockup laws. Gun lockup laws are very bad. Kamala Harris herself was caught on video talking about it. She said the purpose of these laws is so that state actors can invade the sanctity of your home. That's Kamala Harris's words, not mine. And do government gun inspections. They want to see if you're keeping your firearms in a safe manner. Keep in mind, this is the same government and the same people who pulled out of Afghanistan and left billions of dollars worth of American military machine guns and weapons on the streets of Afghanistan, on our old bases over there. But people like Susan Harman-Scott, they never said anything about that. No, that's because they want to pass this kind of stuff here. They don't care about things that happen other places. So that's not good. It's a violation of your Second Amendment right and your right to be secure in your person from unreasonable searches and seizures to pass something like this. But that's what Susan Harman-Scott wants. She also wants to repeal the self-defense laws that we have on the books. They want to make it so that, God forbid, if you're ever in a situation where you have to defend yourself, you have to be able to prove to a judge or a jury afterwards that you tried to retreat from that situation before taking action to defend yourself. Now, anybody who's a mom or a dad is like, that's ridiculous and insane. But that's what they want to do. That's what Susan Harman-Scott wants to do. They want to repeal self-defense laws. So honestly, if that kind of a situation ever is allowed to pass, it would really make it so that the criminal is protected more than the innocent citizens. And that's in a total abomination. when moments count and lives are on the line, the last thing that a mom or a dad or somebody defending themselves should have to consider is whether or not a judge later on in a totally unreplicable situation is going to sit there and see if they acted appropriately. It's just that can mean life or death. So she also supports banning AR-15s. There's a lot of hullabaloo about this all the time. AR-15s are America's rifle. She doesn't want to just ban AR-15s, however. She wants to ban semi-automatic firearms like Ruger 1022s, Glock 43Xs, Marlin Model 60s, Remington 1187 shotguns. They want to ban all of these things, another red X, because firearms are excellent tools to tell tyrants no. Our founding fathers, they were historians as well. They could look back in history and think, you know what? Governments become tyrannical unless the people have the ability to stop them. That's why they codified the Second Amendment in the Bill of Rights. It had nothing to do with deer hunting and everything to do with making sure that the people themselves had the tools necessary to prevent tyranny from ever taking root in America. People like Susan Harman-Scott here want to ban those tools because they support that full-blown tyrannical agenda. So you add all of these up here, and that we're going to give her an F rating for that. We're talking about Susan Harman-Scott here. She's earned that F rating because of all of this gun control that she supports. So I want you guys to keep that in mind. Let's talk really quickly about Bobby Hanig here and leave this video on a good note. Talking about this guy. That's kind of a messed up arrow. But first and foremost, right out of the gate, he filled out his 2024 North Carolina Firearms Coalition candidate survey 100% pro-gun. We love it when an incumbent is willing to go on record. It's kind of like sitting down and, filling out a mortgage and signing the dotted line, or a rental agreement, signing the dotted line. Once you sign the dotted line, you have to make the payments, essentially. Once you go on record saying, I'm going to fight for the Second Amendment, you can't just be a bench warmer. Bobby Hanig says, hey, I'm going to fill out that survey because I know what I believe and I believe what I say. Let's be very clear and transparent with the voters and let them decide. We love it. That also means that he's of no on universal gun registration. Oh, I have a spelling error in here. I'm going to delete that word and replace that with red flag gun confiscation. He's an absolute no on red flag gun confiscation. That's fantastic. We talked about that when we talked about Susan Harman-Scott. He's a no on banning AR-15s. Fabulous. That would be a big problem. Look at this one. He's a yes. We're talking about Bobby Hanig here. He's a yes on SEPA. This is a bill that's introduced in the House side. It hasn't been introduced in the Senate side yet, but it's the Second Amendment Protection Act, or Preservation Act. What it does is it says that North Carolina law enforcement, which are paid for by North Carolina taxpayers to enforce North Carolina laws, they can never be commandeered by the feds to enforce federal gun control. Fabulous. That's great. That is great legislation for somebody like Bobby to step up and say, yeah, let's do that. People, they ask us questions all the time like, what can we do to stop this tyranny out of DC? This is the answer right here. SEPA. And Bobby Hanig says, yeah, let's do it. I'm on board. So not only that, we went through his record. We can't find any bad votes. Of course, he voted to repeal the pistol purchase permit thing. That was an old Jim Crow era gun control bill. He voted for that. He votes for the pro-gun bills every time they get to the floor. That's fantastic. And if you're a gun owner, that might be the kind of person that you're looking for. So a couple things. Number one, if you see Bobby out there on the campaign trail, walk right up to him and thank him for being a leader on the Second Amendment. We need leaders, and he's been doing that in office already. If you see Susan Harman-Scott on the campaign trail, walk up to her and say, what the heck, lady? Why didn't you fill out your survey? She didn't survey, by the way. What's up with all that gun control that you support? And why are you endorsed by Michael Bloomberg? That stuff might go in 2024 Sissy Brit England, but it doesn't go here in America. This is the land of the free, the home of the brave. Senate District 1 in North Carolina. It's not a gun control stronghold. So that's the difference between these two candidates, folks. We're asking you, I'm going to ask you right now, please share this video with everybody you know in the district, your pro-gun friends, family, loved ones, coworkers, neighbors, barber, hairdresser, anybody you know. And on November 5th, round them all up, head down to the polls, and vote pro-gun.